What's up, everybody? John Hoover. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. That's right. Welcome back. It's new and improved. Well, it's new anyway. I suppose you'll let me know if it's actually improved. First, before we get started, I want you guys to follow me on Twitter, at John E. Hoover. And while you're following and watching today, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. That's important. Subscribe to my channel or just leave a comment. Or you know what? Share my videos on your social media streams and I'll retweet them on mine. So, let's talk about what all's happened since my last upload. I know, it's been a while. Many of you probably already know I am no longer with the franchise. My radio career, such as it is on hiatus. I don't know for how long, but I promise I will let you know. Also, I no longer write for the franchise website for now. I guess the easiest way to say it is I have entered a new chapter in my sports journalism career, and if you're watching this video, hey folks, you're in on the ground floor as I begin more of a pivot to video. Thanks, Yahoo. We'll see where that takes me, but for now, trust me, all is well. I'm still covering the Big 12 Conference for Sporting News. That's huge for me. Sportingnews.com. I've actually got a couple of stories in the pipeline right now, and I do still write about the Big 12 for Lindy's preseason magazine. Already started on that for 2020, actually. I've got several other key projects cooking, literally on the front burner. And as I've got a handful of other, options, and both locally and nationally that I'm exploring, I'm in talks with, so to speak. So stay tuned for that. I said it on social media, and I need to say it again right here. I'm so grateful to the good people at Tyler Media for taking a chance on an old newspaper guy. They're an Oklahoma City company. I live in Tulsa. They didn't really have a property in Tulsa, but they trusted me to help them build one, and I think we did some really good work. I mean, think about it. I came out of 30 years in newspapers. 30 years, literally from the day I graduated high school, and I had my own sports talk radio show for 4 years. I thought that was pretty cool. And I had a lot of fun in those 4 years during my career of sports radio. More fun, really, than I'd had in a long time in newspapers. Transitioning from a career in newspapers to one in electronic media, radio, podcasting, YouTube, even television, I have learned so much, and I'm so thankful. Whatever brand I might have had before has really, really grown, and for that, special thanks to all you guys, the listeners, the readers, the subscribers, the viewers, the followers. When I announced my career news on Twitter a couple weeks ago that I was no longer with the franchise, folks, I got hundreds and hundreds of replies, and I'm telling you, 100% of them, 100%, every one was positive, was supportive, was uplifting. That just felt amazing. You guys made me realize there's a lot more out there for me, and that there's actually an appetite for the content that I produce. So now I'm producing it on YouTube. Okay, right up front, we're going to focus on Oklahoma Sooners football. We are going to hit on some other stuff, obviously, mostly college football. That's my wheelhouse. Some Oklahoma State, a little Tulsa, some Big 12 Conference for sure. Some other teams around the country whenever they make big news. Policy changes, NCAA news, that kind of thing. Plus basketball wherever we can. But we are going to be heavy on Sooners football. So let's get to it. There's actually not a ton of stuff going on right now, and I say that. At the current moment, there's not a lot going on, but I want to catch you up on some of my takes on some recent events. Big news in Norman in January as Lincoln Riley had to fill 2 coaching vacancies. 2. Jay Boulware took a job at Texas, his alma mater, and Ruffin McNeil went into, he says, temporary retirement to take care of his father back in North Carolina. 2 coaches leaving at first, your gut reaction, you're probably like, whoa, what's going on here? What's next? But fact of the matter is, Lincoln Riley wanted to upgrade those positions in recruiting. Lincoln Riley always wants to upgrade recruiting. Ruff hasn't been all that deeply involved in the recruiting game since he's been at Oklahoma, really. Not that he hasn't recruited, not that he hasn't been important to what OU's trying to do, but he really has. But he hasn't kind of been able to pour the energy that a lot of guys on the staff have and other guys around the country at his position have. Let's face it, recruiting is a young man's game. And then Jay Boulware, he's been an invaluable member of the revitalization of Oklahoma's football under Bob Stoops and Lincoln Riley. No question about it. He's been huge. But Lincoln knows when it comes to recruiting, he can always do better. He can always get more. And with Jay Boulware, simply put, Lincoln wants to land more big-time recruits. He wants to land more Jace McClellans, basically, and not have a 5-star guy flip to Alabama after being committed for 2.5 years. That's not too much to ask, right? So, here come the replacements. Who are they? DeMarco Murray is your new running backs coach. You guys know him. And Jamar Cain is your new inside linebackers coach. Listen, I think the hiring of DeMarco Murray absolutely speaks for itself. He was one of the best and most accomplished running backs in the history of Oklahoma program, for sure. Absolutely. All-time leader in touchdowns, all-purpose yards, catches by a running back, all that stuff. Okay? Guy could play. Guy could ball. I think we all agree that if DeMarco had been healthy for the national championship game against Florida in 2000, 2008, 2009, the Sooners might have another national championship. Might. But then he goes off to the NFL. He wins the NFL rushing title. He's the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. He's all pro, and, he's kind of the man. You think that won't resonate with the high-profile recruits? Kids today? This dude led the NFL in rushing, and he can get you there. That's the pitch that Oklahoma makes now with DeMarco Murray as their running backs coach. Now, I'll say this. We don't know yet what kind of recruiter DeMarco is. He's played at the highest level, yes. He's made a ton of money, yes. He's a superstar, absolutely. But does he have that hunger, that inner hunger that makes so many recruiters elite at what they do? Maybe. I'm just saying. 1 year on Arizona under his belt, we just don't know. What we do know, and what I wrote in my column, was this. When he was hired, he's as smart a football player as I've ever seen. That's why he was successful. That and his incredible athletic ability, sure. Guy could ball, vision, power, speed, hands, the total package. DeMarco Murray had it all. But DeMarco, he's just got an innate understanding of the game of football. Blocking schemes and angles and coverages and blitz pickups, hand placement, foot placement, all those little things that people like me and you, and really probably a lot of coaches that out there, guys don't understand it like he does. I mean, it's inside him. Think about this. Basically, this time last year, he was an analyst for Fox Sports. He had just retired as a player. Then his first coaching job was in the Pac-12 conference. Now he's at one of the elite programs in the country. This is not your normal fast track, people. DeMarco Murray is special. Now your hope is that as a coach, he can reach all those things, teach all those things to players, and be that kind of recruiter that he was as a player. Jamar Cain comes to Oklahoma, interestingly, from Arizona State. DeMarco was at Arizona, so I find that a little bit interesting. Anyway, Lincoln Riley called Jamar Cain a quote-unquote dynamic recruiter. Like DeMarco now, he's got a small body of work. He's got 1 year in Tempe, 1 year at Fresno State, both as a defensive line coach. Before that, he was at North Dakota State, which is on the FCS levels, kind of like the New England Patriots / Alabama Crimson Tide of football. Those dudes win it all every year. Anyway, as a player, Cain got 2 years in junior college, played 2 years at New Mexico State. And as a coach, he did 2 years in the NFL's minority internship program, which is where a lot of successful guys in the coaching business come through. So that's impressive. Let's see what he can do with that. Here's what jumps out to me now about these two hirings as much as anything else. Lincoln Riley's coaching staff is getting younger and younger and younger. Remember, I told you recruiting is a young man's game. Well, this is it. DeMarco Murray turns 32 this week, and Jamar Cain, he's 40 years old. As my good friend Eric Bailey at the Tulsa World wrote, the average age of Lincoln Riley's coaching staff is now 39.9 years old, and there are exactly 0 50-year-olds on the staff, which hasn't happened since Bob Stoops' first season. Remember, that was 99 when Bobby Jack Wright was the old guy at 49 years old. So, no 50-year-olds. Okay, Boomer. I think this will be huge for the Sooners. As DeMarco Murray, he's going to go after every elite running back in the country. Jamar Cain, he's going to dive into California. This is huge. He's got some big contacts in California. So let's get to a couple other quick February notes. Super Bowl 54 had a real Oklahoma Sooner flavor to it, didn't it? 3 former Sooners got the W with the Chiefs. And that was pretty cool because, I covered those guys during their time in Norman. So cool to see those guys have success in their pro careers. James Winchester, he's Kansas City's long snapper, and it's just a really cool, poignant story. His dad, Mike Winchester, he played at Oklahoma, was a punter, and he was tragically murdered a few years back. James has been a real beacon of strength for this family, and to see him have the ultimate success in pro football and then talk about his dad like he did, it was just really cool. He's the deep snapper on punts and place kicks, and, as he usually was, he was perfect in the Super Bowl. Then you see Blake Bell out there, the Belldozer. He's a tight end for the Chiefs. He doesn't get much attention. He doesn't get much football. He's a short yardage guy. He's a blocker. But he did catch a pass in the Super Bowl, which was cool. And if you go back and watch Kansas City's 4 touchdowns, Blake Bell was on the field on 3 of them. And like I said on Twitter, He was blocking his ass off on every one of them. Here's a former, think about it, 4- and 5-star quarterback who came off the bench to rescue OU in Bedlam, beat Notre Dame in South Bend, turned into the Belldozer, beat Oklahoma State and Norman with a touchdown run in overtime, scored 4 touchdowns against Texas, moves to tight end. His dad played defensive end for the Chiefs. And the kid just follows his NFL dream, just keeps playing. Now he's a valuable member of the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl champion. Just a really neat story. And then you've got Damian Williams, who was at OU for just 2 years. Junior college running back. He had something like 900 yards his junior year. Then 9 games into his senior year, he gets kicked off the team for failing drug tests. He works out at Oklahoma for his pro day, gets a cup of coffee in training camp with the Dolphins. Works hard, keeps his nose clean. Finally gets his shot in the league, and here he is. He's never started more than 6 games in a season. He's never rushed for more than 500 yards in a season. But, the roster numbers just end up in his favor in Kansas City. And then in the Super Bowl, guy makes a legit argument for Super Bowl MVP. 104 yards, a touchdown rushing, 29 yards receiving, a touchdown receiving. When Patrick Mahomes was playing like hot garbage the first 3 quarters, it was Damian Williams who was picking up the tough rushing yards. It was Damian Williams who kept the chains moving with all those third down dump-offs, catches from Mahomes. Kansas City trailed the whole game, but it was Damian Williams who kept them close and gave them a shot in the fourth quarter when Mahomes finally figured it out, finally got it together, and, finally played like a beast. So was Mahomes robbed? Was Damian robbed of the MVP award? A lot of people think so. A lot of people don't. Mahomes was spectacular on those 2 drives. Absolutely. Me? I don't know. What I do know is they wouldn't have won the game without Damian Williams. Another quick NFL note from last week. Kyler Murray was your NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's the same award that Baker Mayfield almost won the year before. I personally think Baker should have won. I thought he was going to win. He broke Dan Marino's NFL rookie record for touchdown passes, but, that went to Saquon Barkley in 2018. Anyway, Cardinals weren't very good, as you'd expect, but Kyler was pretty fantastic a lot of the time. Completed 64% of his passes, 3,722 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks, plus 544 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. He was very good, and thanks to guys like Kyler and Lamar Jackson, who was the MVP this year, the NFL is starting to look a lot more and more like college football. And then National Signing Day kind of came and went last week. There wasn't much fanfare, was there? It's weird. The new December signing period has really shifted the focus of the February signing day. This month used to be everything for colleges, and it still is huge for some. But for the programs that are out front, for the ones who are cutting edge, it's all about December now. Of the 23 members of Oklahoma's 2020 recruiting class, 21 of them signed in December. Only cornerback Joshua Eaton and defensive end outside linebacker Reggie Grimes signed in February, which is just crazy for those of us who have covered recruiting even a little bit over the years like me. And think about this too. 10 of those 21 guys that signed in December, they're already on campus. So now Eaton, he's a 4-star guy. He's from Houston. He's the number 25 cornerback in the country, according to ESPN. And Grimes, he's the highest rated defender in this class, according to ESPN. He's the number 31 overall recruit. According to Rivals, OU's incoming class ranks 15th in the country. 24/7 Sports ranks them 11th in the recruiting rankings, and ESPN has this class ranked 10th nationally. So that means 4 straight years now, Lincoln Riley has signed a top 10 class. A lot of you guys, I know, are not happy about those rankings, and there is no doubt a handful of guys who have decommitted over the year or so, they would have made the rankings higher, maybe top 5. Looking at you, Jace McClellan. Anyway, that circles us back to where we started, which is DeMarco Murray and Jamar Cain. I told you guys, Lincoln Riley always wants more out of recruiting, and he thinks those guys are going to deliver. So, now you're all caught up. I'm back, and I'm going to be with you a lot more often here on the channel moving forward. We're going to have some hot takes, of course, and we're going to also have some smart takes. I promise. I told you guys, I got a lot of other stuff going on, a lot of other stuff possibly coming in. And when that happens, I will let you know. I will keep you updated, I promise. For now, you can find me on Twitter at John E. Hoover, on Facebook at John E. Hoover Media. And don't forget, subscribe to this channel, hit the notifications bell so that when I upload a new video, a new press conference video, players, anything else, interviews, whatever, you guys will be the first to know. Thanks for watching. See you guys.